It's the Brad and John Show.
It's the Brad and John Show.
Brad, that was so good. For folks who don't know why we're laughing, Brad played a fantastic jingle. And Brad, for my obstreperous and my obstinance this morning, I would like two things. First of all, I'd like to apologize for being so difficult to you in A Block and B Block. And hearing the productivity, productivity, and prosperity, I feel so recharged to go out and seize the day.
Did you like my jingle?
That was so funny, Brad. Imagine driving through the Westplex and pushing buttons. You won't see a billboard or any print ads or any other promotion of our station. But imagine randomly pressing a button and hearing our station and then hearing that song and being like, I'm setting this as a preset. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, what kind of a lunatic? Is this a parody? This is clearly AI, but is this guy, the guy that runs the station must be an eccentric, iconoclast.
Well, no,
you know what I mean?
Now, John, hold on a minute now. Hold on. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I am Pastor Brad. And when I say that to people go, you're a pastor? Yes.
Yeah, you got an online minister piece of paper that you could print out on a cheap piece of...
Which is totally legal because there is no regulation of ministers in the United States because that's part of the Constitution.
That's right. Separate. You do not want the government to sanction a church or tamp down on it. Now, Brad, what were you going to say? You are a minister. We know that. Wink, wink. You're a minister.
I've done weddings before, John. I've done weddings.
I know. I bet. You know, my children have done weddings when they have a doll here and a G.I. Joe there, and they say you're not married, and it's beautiful.
John, the problem with this is nobody's taking me seriously on this, and I don't understand why. I mean,
I know that you're a minister or your life or God Squad. Which one?
All three. How's that? Okay, here's the whole situation. Okay, how is it that one organization here in St. Louis, Gateway Creative Broadcasting, they bought KFUO FM years ago. I think they paid $18 million for it, okay? Then they bought 95.5. They paid $8.5 million for it, okay? Then they bought the old KDHX and paid $8.75 million. John, they're not going to a bank financing this. This is money they have in their bank account. They're just striking a check. They're just, stroking that check.
That's a beautiful thing. And think of how many old people they had to get on the phone to go to a crypto ATM to get that money.
I'm saying, what's the old saying? If you can't beat them, join them. So
yeah. So you bought a domain and you added it to your portfolio of 132 that you currently have. And Brad, what is your and you're not going to believe this, John, but I'm working on it. Sure you are, Brad. What is your next step with God Squad?
John, you don't even believe it's for real. Here, let me go to the God. See, here, what's interesting about it is...
I believe you have a domain that's functional, for sure.
Okay, here's God Squad. I'm on GodSquad.cloud right now. The website is coming up, and it says... Here's what it says. Welcome to God Squad, a church that's in the cloud now with future aspirations and goals for the future. God Squad
which is your whole life, Brad.
God Squad is all about faith leading the way to a positive, productive, and prosperous life. Come grow with us. Okay, now, here's what's interesting. Every single day, I put a different Bible verse up on the God Squad page.
No, you don't. You have it automated, which is awesome.
This is from,
and it's not curated. You don't read it. You can't tell anybody what's on there.
I can.
But you do have an automated. You found some sort of an app that'll give you a daily Bible verse.
No,
That's awesome.
I do this every morning before I go in here with you.
I bet you do, Brad. You couldn't keep Brad's top 3 going for 3 months. I don't think you find a Bible verse every day.
Mark 10:27. Jesus looked at them and said, "With man, this is impossible. With God, all things are possible." See, and that's one of the mottos of God Squad. All things are possible because positivity, productivity, and prosperity, the 3 P's of God Squad. And so I see one day when Pope Leo dies and they're going like, the people in the Vatican are going like, you know what? We're sort of tired of these Catholic guys we have as popes. We need someone who's not of the Catholic faith. And there'll be a puff of white smoke coming out of that smokestack, and the guy will come up on the balcony and say, "Pastor Brad from God Squad is the new pope." And John will go, "I knew him when?"
I know. And you know who else knew you when? A gentleman that gives a testimonial here named Harry Larson. He's according to your website, the quote outreach ministries leader,
right?
Which he's a great stock photo of a black guy, and he says lorem ipsum donac enem diam volpate.
No, he says
it sounds like some sort of vulva.
He says our goal is to reach the victims in our community who are under oppression from people. Syndication, our systematic systems. We work every day to help people build better lives. That's me. Productivity.
Oh yeah, the donac enem diam volpate. And then if you go down to what we believe, we're a church that believes in Jesus and loves God and people. Lorem ipsum dolor set amet.
John, I told you I'm vying for the next pope, so I got to put some Latin in there.
So you got to speak Latin.
I got to put some Latin in there. It's just like the people that tell me, my Catholic friends, oh, I go to the Latin Mass. I go, do you understand anything they say? No, but it's important you go to the Latin Mass. Okay, that would be like saying.
Yeah, I agree with them. And did you hear part of that senior tax? One of the senior programs is they're going to go to all the websites that have been orphaned by old senile people. They're going to go to according to AI.com. They're going to look at all the orphan websites. So at the county council tonight, they're going to say, yeah, our money's going to go to orphans. And everybody's going to be like, oh, that sounds great. But they actually mean Brad's orphaned websites.
John, if you would scroll up a little bit from Harry, who's one of our worship leaders. Oh,
yeah, he's a generic black guy, Harry, yep.
Expanding God Squad streaming. Help God Squad reach a larger audience by updating our streaming equipment and increasing our bandwidth. And our goal is $8,000. We've already raised $10. And if you go to the next one, put God Squad's music and message on the air. God Squad is streaming now. Our next step is to expand our membership, is to purchase an FM broadcast radio station, the first of many. And we have a $990,000 goal, just short of $1 million. And so far, we've raised nothing. Now, if you were any kind of a good guy, you would just click that button right there. It says donate now, and you would donate, I don't know, $10, $20, $30, something like that.
Yeah, boy, that would be worth it, Brad. I'm actually saving my money for your March shiny object, because you'll give up on this in 2 weeks, and then you'll have, I got a new thing. It's AIJingleStation.com. You won't believe it. You're not going to believe it, but I'm going to work on a jingle station.
What's really interesting about this is over the weekend, I read this fascinating article that talked about the people who are like, let's say, outside of the mainstream.
Oh, and you're a disruptor, Brad. It's you. You're like the Elon Musk of nonprofit radio.
No. I'm not a disruptor. I'm a weirdo. And see, the interesting thing about it is, if you look at all these people, like, for example, look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a certified weirdo, okay? If you know the story of Steve Jobs had a daughter with one of his wives who he claimed was not his daughter. And it was his daughter, but he claimed it wasn't his daughter, okay? He did weird stuff, just weird stuff, okay? Elon Musk does weird stuff. The Epstein guy, despite from doing all those sexual crap, he was just a weirdo. I mean, matter of fact, at one point in time, Epstein was a teacher at some private boys' school or some crazy stuff like that. And, think about that. He's in the teacher's lounge and he's looking around and he said, I'm going to be a billionaire one day. And teachers go, yeah, right. You're a school teacher. You're never going to be a billionaire. Guess what? He was a billionaire, John.
Well, according to Dave Ramsey, every teacher's a billionaire. Now, you bring up a good point, Brad, and you're naming some people who are disruptors, who are crazy, weird people who went on to be wildly successful. And I think your mother, well, we know where she is. She worked for some time at the Bell Fountain Rehabilitation Center.
She did, yes.
And what you don't hear is there was a really strange guy named Kenny Clefcorn who used to collect his toenails and juggle them. That's weird. He didn't end up producing anything meaningful for society. There's a lot of weird people, Brad, that have middling, inconsequential lives and perish, and no one cares about them, and they have no significant impact because they fail to follow through. They fail to put in significant effort. I don't know. Are most people that are eccentric like the latter? Or are most people, they're weirdos just like Steve Jobs?
John, you walked into a terrible situation there, because I'm going to correct you. Kenny Clefcorn, my mom knew him well. And Kenny Clefcorn said to my mom one day, I'm going to be a very famous television personality. And my mom just said, yeah, right, Kenny. So one day, my mom, when she was still living, turned on the TV, and she turned on to the TV and she saw this Steve Colbert guy, and she goes, "Oh, that's Kenny Clefcorn."
That's him. That's Kenny Clefcorn.
That's Kenny Clefcorn. So that's what happened with Kenny Clefcorn.
The guy that used to just juggle his clipped toenails.
Right. He became a big, powerful. Now, the problem is that the real story behind this is when CBS said, Mr. Colbert, we're going to have to end your show. We're going to fire you, but we're going to give you 8 months before we actually fire you, and we're going to get rid of that 200-person staff. And he said to them, "So you mean I got to go back to juggling my toenails?" And they said, "Wow, is that what you did before?" "Yes, and Mrs. Hildebrand told me I would never make it this far, and I showed her. But most importantly,
I think to me, that's a great story that deserves to be told on Community Radio St. Louis, my new favorite radio station. Have you heard about it, Brad? What a great station. Why didn't anyone that we know have an opinion on KDHX or try to purchase the station? I'm surprised no one we know has an opinion on it or tried to buy it.
John, look, I've heaped praise upon the Gateway Creative Broadcasting people. They know the radio business. They know how to do great presentation of radio. They do an excellent job. They employ local people. But sometimes, and this is usually not a problem for me, sometimes I have trouble getting to sleep at night. But I have a new sleep aid. You know what I do?
What is it, Brad?
I just turn on Worship One, and by the second slow, plodding, drudgery worship song they play, I'm asleep. I'm going, I'm like, I'm sawing wood. I'm telling you. See, I don't understand that. I've tried to listen to that station. First, they took my favorite station off the air, Jam St. Louis, where they're playing all this old remix disco stuff and remix current stuff. They played some great remixes of some current Taylor Swift stuff that I've never been able to find. I'm going like, where did they find this remix? I mean, I don't know, because normally you can go on, like when I hear these songs, you can go on Shazam, and if it's a remix, it'll tell you who the DJ is. I would hit one of these, one after another, these Taylor Swift remixes on St. Louis Jams, and it would come back just as the original song, which means it didn't know what remix it was. I'm thinking to myself, those people were down there on Manchester and De Pere remixing songs. They had Taylor Swift in the studio.
And they had a great inspiration. They had that song that was talking about feel the beat of the setting sun.
Right.
For the women of the West, we're never done. Westplex 107.1.
John, there's going to come a day when someone will say, John, you're going to run into one of your friends. They go, John, do you know about this Brad Hildebrand guy? And you're going
to say, how much money does he owe you?
and you're going to say, well, I used to do a show with him. And they go, no, you used to do a show with him? With Brad Hildebrand? You did a show with him?
And I'm going to say the credit company repossessed his laptop and we didn't have a show anymore. Brad, I promise before tomorrow morning, I will take my menopause supplements and I will be less hot flashy. Okay. I'm feeling my menopause today. Today's my first day of the menopause. Did you know, I've learned this recently, that menopause, when people say they're menopausal, you know that menopause is technically only 1 day. So you should accurately describe people, old bats that can't breed anymore. You should describe them as post-menopausal. You shouldn't describe them as menopausal.
John, but you're showing your ignorance of the new language. It's not menopause anymore. It's person pause. That's what it is.
Oh, thank you, Brad.
It's not.
I appreciate that. I'd love to stay in chat, but I have a brand new radio station that'll teach me to be positive, productive, and prosperous.
Never mind. Okay.